All right, guys. Final score, Necrons 77, DeathWatch 68.
Very close game.
Very, very close game.
Yeah.
I had a dominant hold on primaries. You had a two really strong turns on secondaries.
Oh, three. You're capped out at 40 secondaries, and I scored 42. So I actually dropped a couple points on my secondaries because I scored so well on them.
Right. Nice. Yeah, that is true because it's 40 and it's 50 on primaries.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing was a couple things I kept saying throughout the game was stop the primary, stop the primary, stop the primary. And that was it's kind of how I felt with it in there as I saw the opportunity to stifle you points and not knowing what we were going to draw put me at a position where I'm like, okay, at least I know I can stop these from scoring. So what are your general feelings and thoughts after this? Was it because like you said, this is a list that you're still doing some tweaks competitively. What did you like the most that you saw out of this list, out of your list today?
I mean, I think the killing power is there. Your army was ridiculously durable. And by the end, you had one character and one squad in the middle. So I outkilled you still. Now,
left me with 2 units.
What's that?
Yeah, leaving me with 2 units.
Yeah. So I was happy with that. I think really Necrons are the most objective controlling army. And you built a list that had characters in every unit. And then the primary was holding objectives with characters. You got bonus points. So I actually don't feel too bad about how the game went because I think, one thing my army lacks is a little bit of objective control. I think next time I'm going to instead of all the Terminator squads, I do some kill teams because the kill teams I can use at one objective stratagem and actually affect 2 kill teams with it. So it gives me a little more flexibility, which is something I'm going to poke around with. I'll have to drop something out of the list, but that's all I think I'm really going to change. I like the indirect fire, the amount of it that I had. I don't know about the Thunderfire cannon. It was relevant at some points because it definitely slowed you down in some cases. But sometimes I'd just rather take something that kills you rather than slows you down. So, because I don't think it probably didn't get an actual single wound through the entire game.
And I think that's something to keep in mind generally for that is like, where are you trying to control the battlefield? Are you trying to control the battlefield by directly removing the units? Or are you trying to control the battlefield as in actually controlling the battlefield? And if you're doing it that way and trying to use state-based effects, Thunderfire is super strong. But if you're trying to just kill, well...
Yeah, honestly, one of the things I'm worried the most about are Eldar, and the Eldar warp spiders they move 24 inches. So I'm not, reducing their move down to 22 inches. Oh no,
it's game breaking right there. That's right. Game breaking. That's all.
I don't feel like it's super relevant. I think it did contribute in this game. There were a few times you weren't able to make charges or things because you were.
I wasn't able to do any, like a lot of plays. There was a lot of plays where I wasn't able to. We talked about excuse me, what was I can't remember the secondaries now. I was trying to think of it, but it's a secondary where I need to grab an objective marker in your deployment zone. And because of that -2 move, it was impossible for me to do. Had I had a normal movement characteristic, it would have been reanimate outside, then move 5 inches, then shoot with the Chronomancer squad, and then move again. And that 10-inch move plus the reanimation most likely would have been enough to get over there and grab that objective from where I was standing.
Yeah, capture enemy stronghold. I think
that was it. I think, yeah. So then I go back. Now I go to the other side of the coin. What disappointed you the most? And I feel like you kind of touched on that with the Terminators.
Yeah, the Terminators are only objective control 1. I could put a Terminator Ancient in there to give them objective control 2. But in this matchup, again, like I said, your army is probably the most powerful objective controlled army because you had huge bricks of 20 warriors that were all OC2 that didn't die. Plus they had, crypto thralls and characters on them and all this stuff. It was extremely difficult to actually get them around, especially also because you reanimate onto the objectives as well. So I don't feel too bad about it. In general, I feel like it'll be all right. But I will probably try, like I said, try and squeeze a couple kill teams in. It'll just give me some more objective control.
Well, what's nice too is out of this, you got to see some of the units that you haven't probably seen before,
Mhm.
including the one that I'm going to declare as my MVP, Illuminator Xeris. Xeris, oh my gosh, he rocks. He is so good.
Hey, it's not the Crypto Thalls? They're not your
No, it's
are not your
Xeris.
MVP?
It was Xeris because I was not sure if he was going to be able to take that objective marker back for me, that home field objective. And like sometimes in those scenarios, like you hit me in my backfield with both squads of intercessors, and or I said it wrong, didn't I?
Yeah, in Inceptors.
You hit me with both squads of those. Toughness 6, 3 wounds apiece, and what in my army can really handle that? The monolith. The monolith's up in the front. Necron warriors. I needed those warriors to get out there and start playing the game. So here was Xeris, who wanders back and just annihilated both squads, and then went on to take out the speeder and hold the objective by himself, and just stand there. And you looked at him and went, "Oh, okay, I can shoot at him now." But why?
Doesn't do anything. He's got a 4-up field no pain and 9 wounds.
2-up save, toughness 8, 2-up save, 9 wounds, 4-up feel no pain, and he's infantry. And a character.
Right.
For 1 command point, I can bring him back with half of his wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no point at some points in the game. It was just, wow. And that's why I say, like, because of what he did, his heroic sacrifice for the Necron dynasties, he made it back on that objective and was able to completely clear that objective for me, so I could take everything else and push forward. And because of that, I had 2 turns where I was really skunking you like hard on objectives. Like, I mean, not getting you to a full-fledged 0, but to a point where you were not scoring primaries at all on those. And that, I think, was a huge turn. Biggest disappointment? Psychomancer. And I knew the Psychomancer was trash, but I wanted to run him one time.
Is he the one that does the Battle Shock?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was a weird game for Battle Shock. Both the Whirlwinds cause Battle Shock on things they hit, and my Terminators cause you to take Battle Shock tests when they charge in. I think there was maybe one time all game that either of us failed the Battle Shock test. It wasn't really relevant in this game. No. My little Plasma Inceptor failed. The last surviving one failed, but it was not on a turn that I needed him to be there. I was able to put some redundancy there, so it didn't really matter.
Engage on all fronts, I think, was the secondary. I think that was,
so I put the speeder over here to score me that because he had failed. But I think that was the only time either of us failed the Battle Shock at all game.
Yeah, realistically, I mean, one of the changes I'd make to this list, drop the Psychomancer for another Chronomancer and call it a day. I mean, it's really that simple. Like, the Chronomancer was good. The -1 to hit was awesome. Being able to do the move shoot would be great, especially even just like in the early game of like, oh, okay, I got 9 guys that can shoot at you. Pew, pew. Okay, let me move another 5 inches. Just little things like that. And that fire and fade aspect of it, which it really is a powerful ability. And they'd just be able to have that across the board. Now, one thing I do need to look at is make sure that it's not a once. I have to double check with it. And if someone's already commenting in the comment section, oh, you can only do that one time with 1 Chronomancer, that might be a thing. Yeah. Where that ability can only, like, 1 unit with this ability can use this each phase. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. But that might be a case. But still, the Chronomancer is an easy -1 to hit. And it's so much easier. And there's so many easy ways to get cover that the hyper material albatter booby thingy that I put on him, it's not worth it. Yeah. It's not worth it when I can take a Chronomancer and do the same thing. So,
yeah, one thing I think I'll change is the speeder. I took the Thunderstrike Storm Speeder, and whenever it shoots, after it's done shooting, it picks 1 vehicle or monster that it hit. And then for the rest of that phase, the rest of your army gets +1 to wound on it. I had the other speeder option where it's 30 points cheaper. It just has some anti-infantry fire that's not great. But anytime I tag any unit, it gives me extra AP towards it. I think I might prefer the extra AP, especially on the cheaper model. But that, because I can use that into anything that's in cover, anything, Terminators, whatever it may be, it gives me extra AP and the things that are really needed. So I think I might switch that up.
Monolith went down pretty quickly. I'm not disappointed with that. When I rolled the dice on a 4-up, I rolled low. I mean, granted, I'm not now. Don't get me wrong, not complaining. I had some.
You can't complain about your dice this game.
No, but when my dice went, it was funny. Like when my dice went hot, they went hot. When my dice went cold, whew, they went cold.
Yeah, you used up all your good rolls for your armor saves when you shot that whirlwind and did 30 wounds to it.
Right. But the monolith, I didn't make really any of those saves, and I took a heavy amount of damage from it. 2 more of those dice. That was, and I think that even the missiles that got through, that was still you almost took it out with just the Desolation Marines 1 round of volleys. Yeah, you did 17 wounds to it. Yeah, it was down to 3. So I mean, 1 or 2 of those that were saved, and the monolith's got a lot more wounds left, and then you have to dedicate a little more into it. It soaks up some good damage shots, so I'm not disappointed with it. Plus those death rays, man.
Well, the fact that it deploys a unit out and you can use your move, shoot, move thing, it just helps you with secondaries. That's a huge.
And that was a big part of it, and primaries too. Maybe not scoring my primaries, but saying no, you're not getting your primaries, and that was the big tech play that I was trying to go in with the monolith, was drop you in, pull the unit over, shoot, chrono on the objective, and see would that be efficient. And I love it. It worked well. I think that's a very good technical play off the monolith, and monolith's got a lot of value. I think
there's not really anything you can do to stop it from happening.
No, not really at all. No, I mean you can try and Overwatch things down, but it's 20 warriors. I was debating. You're
not going to Overwatch a monolith or the warriors,
right? I was debating switching it down to just 10 immortals for cheaper aspects of it. But after what I've seen with the warriors and just the bulk of the bodies and objective control too, I think they're worth it. Yeah. I think they're worth it over, because immortals, the difference is immortals a bit cheaper, max 10, T5, 3-up save, don't reanimate as much versus what the warriors do. Warriors are more expensive, but I mean, they did the trick. They did the trick really, really well. So closing thoughts on this game. I said one of the changes I was going to make to my roster. You mentioned the changes that you were going to make to your roster a little bit. Are you making any of these changes before going into this weekend?
Yeah. Just tweaking a few things, just kind of find where I got to cut it, cut a few more points. But basically, if I take the bigger kill teams that has the same number of Terminators and Cyclones, I like the amount of shooting I got from the Cyclones, both anti-infantry and tank and vehicle. And it gives me just more flexibility with the stratagems, because with the DeathWatch stratagems, I can target 2 kill teams for 1 CP, and just total value. When I'm going extra AP or anti-infantry 2-up, whatever it may be. So I definitely want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, biggest thing that I'm thinking right now is I need to get Xeris primed.
He deserves some paint.
The nightmare cometh.
Yeah,
which is Illuminar Xeris. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the game. We had a blast playing it. This was definitely very, very interesting. A lot of back and forth with certain things, like different play style. Lane and his, I'm going to kill everything in my army and I don't want to die. And definitely a lot more about the objectives. Like, we both had kind of different mindsets. Mine was, I don't care about any of the murdering in that. I just want to keep hitting these objectives over and over and over again. And Lane was looking at those secondaries. And again, that's why you scored so high in it at every turn, looking at the secondaries going, okay, how do I maximize this without losing anything? And by the end of the game, you had Terminator, Desolation. You had like 5 units left to my 2.
Yeah.
And one of the things I always like to talk with some people about this as well, and I'll close it on this, is if the game were to progress on, where it goes from there. I mean, my Lich Guard have no guns. I think that Xeris would have been the most difficult thing for you to kill in the army, and the Lich Guard would have just gotten oath of moments, and you just keep hitting them with artillery and missiles and everything else.
If I only had 3 more turns, I could have won this game.
Only had 3 more turns. Yeah, if you just roll 6s, man, just roll 6s. Yeah. Just roll 6s. That's best coaching advice I can give you, is just roll 6s.
Get better.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.